Alright, so welcome to the channel, and today we're going to be showing the no-nonsense Forex trading strategy, or my version of it, and I'm going to be teaching you guys how to trade the no-nonsense Forex way, and then also go through this Ultra Capital Fund challenge, and then show you guys the progress here that we're doing. So I started trading a few years ago, learning how to trade. I've done a few prop firm challenges. This is the third one. So right now we are going to see if we can pass this challenge. Right now we have a demo account from Ultra Capital given to us. And then we also have our MT4 charts that we're going to be using as well for our indicators. So we're going to go over here and take a look at the charts and the trades that we played last week. And then we're going to see if we're going to exit the trades and how to actually manage those trades. Alright, let's take a look here. So here we have the MT5 charts. So right now we have a short on GBP JPY. The way we place trades are we place two trades. One of them exited at the first take profit level, and the second trade runs with the trailing stop here. So you can see here that the first trade we exited right about 140 pips. And then the second trade, which we still have going on, is just running with this trailing stop here. So we have a trailing stop loss here that's going to be running based off of the ATR. So basically the more the ATR value is, the wider the trailing stop will be. The smaller the ATR value is, the tighter the trailing stop will run. So our trailing stop will be based off of how much the pair has moved over the last 14 days. So what we can do is we can take a look at our charts and see if we're actually going to be exiting out of this trade or not. So right now we're on MT5, so we're going to be switching to MT4, which should look like this. And we are going to bring up the GBP JPY, and this is our charts for placing trades. So first we'll look at the exit indicator to see if I'm actually going to be exiting the trade. So because we have a Rex oscillator, the way we exit the trade is two line cross. So as soon as the two lines cross each other, that is the indication that we will exit the trade. It looks like we're not actually going to be exiting the trade here because the lines haven't crossed. So we're going to leave this trade open. This trade was open during the weekend, so it looked like there was a movement continuing towards the trend, which is going short. And the other thing we look at is if there's any news events coming up, high impact news events. So it doesn't look like there's any major news events coming up. So that's going to be that we're going to keep this trade open. So now we can take a look and see if we're actually going to be entering any of the trades. So when we look at the trades here, I'm going to be explaining the indicators that we're using to see if we're going to be entering the trade. So for our moving average, we use Gamma, that's the moving average, and we also have the ATR bands to make sure that we're following the 1 times ATR nuance. So that's what we're using for the moving average. For the volume indicator, we use the Damiani. For Vortex, we use, or for our confirmation indicator, for entry indicator, we use a Vortex indicator, which is a 2-line cross. For the second confirmation indicator, we use a Copic curve, which is a 0-line cross. And then as we said as well, we have the exit indicator, which is Rex. The other exit indicator that we use is the baseline. And then of course we use high impact news events, and we exit those trades that have high impact news events coming along, or we will just use the trailing stop loss or stop loss to exit the trades as well. So when I look at my charts here, the first thing I look at is the news events. So it looks like USD is going to have a news event in a couple of days here. And if we have any high impact news events within 48 hours or within 2 days, then I don't place the trade. I know VP, he goes for the 24 hours, but for me, I look at 48 hours and I say if I have any news events coming up, then I do not place a trade. So basically, if there's any high impact news events coming up on Wednesday, I don't place a trade. So it looks like USD pairs are going to be out for today. So I can look through those, say yes, these are all going to be USD pairs. So we can just move these along. Euro Chief. Okay, so here we have a news event for the Euro coming in on Thursday. So since it's Monday today, we can still trade Euro, and then I'll just make sure that I'm out of the trade before the news event actually happens. So it looks like today we're going to be skipping Euro Chief because the vortex indicator did not actually cross over. So I'm going to be moving over to the next pair. Same thing here, vortex indicator isn't giving me trade. Okay, so this is an interesting one here. So let's take a look at CAD JPY. So we see that the vortex indicator gave us a short signal right here. Let's see here, when was this? Well, yesterday. And now we have price below our moving average, so that's a short signal there, and it's above the ATR bands. So we can actually take a look here and see that our C1, our vortex, is giving us a signal, our moving average is giving us the signal, our Copic curve is giving us the signal because it's below the zero line. And there's no major news event till Friday. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually be placing a short position on CAD JPY. So I can actually go ahead and do that right now as well. So I'm going to be moving us over to the MT5 charts here. There we go. And this is where I'm actually placing the trade. So I'm going short CAD JPY. So I can just simply look at the market watch. Where is it here? Okay, I can drag this over to my chart. All right, and I bring in my risk management EA from Firewhite. Allow algo trading, yes. So now we have our EA on screen. I can hide this here. ATR indicator is at 91. So what we're doing is, because we're on a prop fund challenge, we don't want to be risking 2% per trade because the maximum drawdown is 8%. So I'm moving that to 1%. So we have a 1% risk, and if we sell, we should have 2 trades coming up here. There you go. So we have 2 trades coming up here. Both are the same value, 3 micro lots, and we're risking only 1% per trade. As you can see, the take profit and stop loss have already been set for us. So this is ready to go. And I just need to make sure that before Friday comes along, I'm out of this trade before the major news event comes in. So we'll leave that for now, but this is what it looks like to place a trade on there. So now we're gonna move back to our MT4 charts, and we're gonna take a look and see if we're gonna be placing any other trades. I don't have like a cap on how many trades I place in a day. Whatever my system tells me to trade, I trade. If I have too many trades going on, I can reduce the risk of those trades. So instead of risking 1%, I can maybe risk 0.75%. But typically that's not a problem. So let's keep going here. JBP Chief. So Vortex doesn't give me the signal, so we're not going to be looking at that. This one, we're already in the trade for GBP JPY. Euro CAD. So looks like there's news events coming on later in the week, but Vortex indicator isn't giving us the go ahead. CAD Chief is a no. GBP CAD. Euro odd. Let's keep scrolling over and see if we're gonna place any more trades. I'll be okay if we don't place any more trades today, but let's see what the system says. Odd New Zealand. This is almost crossing over here. It hasn't quite crossed over, but it's almost crossing over. And if it crosses over in the next few minutes, which I don't think it's going to do, we can place this trade, Odd New Zealand, but this won't be a trade. Oh, anyway, Odd, it looks like there's a news event coming up, RBA Governor speaks, so yeah, we're not going to be placing trades since Tuesday is just tomorrow. So yeah, that's not going to be a trade there. So odd pairs are going to skip for today. Euro New Zealand vortex indicator isn't giving me the go ahead. If I actually, let's take a look. If I would have placed my trade right here, my system would have told me to go short, and that would have been about 850 pips. Wow, 820. That would have been a nice run. That's okay though. It was probably a news event or something that kept me out. So here, New Zealand pairs, nothing on the vortex. USD pairs we're not trading. Odd pairs we're not trading. Okay, and then the last odd USD, I kind of just keep over here just to test other indicators. I was looking at the universal oscillator as my second confirmation. It's basically a Kopit curve, but it's just a lot faster than a Kopit curve. So yeah, that's the trading that we've done today. I'll bring up my MT5 and see what our equity is looking like really quickly here. Let's take a look. Yeah, so I placed a trade, I believe, last Thursday for the GBP JPY. So if I look at my history here, it actually tells me not only the profit, but also the percentage change in my account portfolio. So it's about 0.78. And I only took about $20 in profit there. That was my first take profit level that was hit. So now with this trade going on here, if I exit it right now, this whole thing would be more than a 2% gain. But even if I exit with my trailing stop being hit, which is the chart here, even if I exit with my trailing stop being hit, I'm still going to be exiting this trade profitably, probably still about 1.5%, 1.5% gain. So that's going to be a nice move if we can catch it going shorter. But even if it retraces and hits my trailing stop, that'll still be a nice run. And then for CAD JPY, I'm not sure how much it's going to move over the next couple of days, because Thursday I'm going to have to leave anyway because of the major news event. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. I can actually, usually what I do after I place the charts with the EA is I'll just take it off. I don't want to take it off of that one. I can take it off of this one though. JPY, yeah. There you go. I don't need it on that one either. Yeah, I just have the basic Firewhite EA, so if you get the premium one, you actually, it manages the trailing stop for you, but the Firewhite EA that I use is just the free one, which I manage my own trailing stops, which isn't a big deal. I just wake up in the morning and I'll just take a look and see if I need to move my trailing stops. But as you can see, I removed the EA and my take profit and my stop loss are still in play here. So we'll take a look and see if this trend continues downward. Let's take a look. But yeah, that's about it on the trading section. What I could do as well is I could do some back testing just to kind of take a look, because I back tested the system before I moved my moving average. I actually used a Hull moving average previously just to take a look and see. It was I think I used like a 50 period moving average for my Hull, but now I use the comma because of the ATR band, so I actually haven't back tested the full system after I put the comma in. So we can take a look and see here what we got going on. I think VP says to go back 3 years for back testing, but take a look and see how far we want to go back. 2021, 2020. It's already 2022, right? 2019. 2022. Let's take a look at this. All right, so we have what, January 1st, 2019. So 2019, 2020, 2021, that'll be 3 years. All right, so we can take a look, and I'm just gonna open up a sheet here for back testing. And that way I can keep track of it. Let's take a look here. All right, so let's bring our MT4 up here. Okay, and we're at January 2019. And I have my back testing for my no-nonsense Forex, but let's take a look here. And I use some code as well just to backtest indicators individually. I write code on TradingView. Not really write the code, but I just adjust the code so I can backtest automatically rather than having to manually go into every single indicator and then manually backtesting. But for my entire system, I'll do the manual backtesting there. So I test out the indicators individually, or the indicators automatically, and then I test the full system manually. So it's March 2022. So I'm just gonna test the win rate, and when I do manual, I just do a kind of like a crude back testing just to kind of get a feel as to how the system would perform over 3 years. So it looks like the volume indicator is doing a good job of keeping us out of this chop right here. So basically between December 26th all the way till about February 28th. So for about 2 months, this volume indicator has been keeping me out of this ranging market, which is really nice to see that. And then even it allowed us to go long here, but we didn't go long because it continued to give us the shorts. And then, yeah, so basically from the end of December to the end of March, about 3 months, this volume indicator kept us out of the ranging markets. And let's take a look here now. So this is where a copy curve comes into play. So when the red line passes up, it's a short position, and then when the blue line crosses up, it is a long position. So right here, it's telling us to go short because of our ATR bands. Prices outside of ATR bands, we're not going to be going short here. Right here, let's take a look. It says to go long, but of course, because the price is below our moving average, we're not going to go long. Right here, price says to go short again, but again, because we're out of the ATR bands, we're not going to be going short. So we can keep going here. All right, we had a long entry here, but because of our C2, our second confirmation indicator copy curve, the price or the value on the copy curve is below 0, so that is not a long entry. Here we see to go short, but because price is above the moving average, we're not going to go short. And that's a good thing because price continues to go higher. Right here, price says to go long, but copy curve says no. Price says to go short. Again, copy curve says no. This would have been a pretty nice one to catch, but copy curve wasn't giving us the go ahead, so we would have missed out on this trade here. But that's okay. That's why we trade on, you know, pretty much 26, 28 currency pairs, so that even if we miss out on one or two trends, we can catch the other ones as they come along. Looks like there's a lot of chop here. Damiani is giving us, doing a good job in keeping us out of this here. Let's take a look and see what we got going on here. So this would have given us a long signal, but copy curve says no. It's still below zero. And then this gives us a short signal, but price is above our baseline, so that's not going to be short. Damiani keeps us out of all of this. All this chop here is avoided by the volume indicator. Look at how many signals this thing is giving me right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signals here, and Damiani does a good job in keeping us out of that. Fortunately, we weren't able to catch this trend because the volume indicator kept us out of it, but it also kept us out of a lot of chop that we would have had to deal with. Not going to be a good thing. Here as well, all this chop that's going on here, Damiani prevents that from happening. We would have lost the sort of downtrend that starts right around here, but that's okay. That's okay. Let's take a look here. And notice how the ATR bands are getting really wide here. That's because the pair has been moving a lot recently. This big move here, especially this one candle here, that's a big reason why this ATR bands are getting really wide. So the wider the ATR bands are, that means that price is actually is moving a lot over the last 14 days. So right here, that's the signal to go long. It's still outside of our ATR bands, even though they're so wide. So we're not going to go long there. Right here, price says to go short, but copy curve says no. What would have happened here? I would have gone short here. If we had placed this trade, we probably would have lost that. That's about 160 pips the other direction. It would have most likely hit our trailing stop, or sorry, stop loss. Let's take a look here. So price says to go up, copy curve says no. Right here is a short. Let's take a look here. This price crosses over here. Right about, where is it giving the signal? They're so close together. Looks like it's right about here. This candle. $80 pips. Probably wouldn't have taken us and hit the stop loss, or it wouldn't have hit take profit. It would have just reversed the other way and hit the stop loss. So I'm going to count this as a loss. One loss. Okay, and we can just keep going now. This is a long signal here. We would have placed the trade somewhere here, but the volume indicator says no. So we're not going to place the trade. And it keeps us out of all of this chop here. Vortex gives about 3 different signals, so that's good. Keeps going. Okay. Right here, Vortex tells us to go long. So that would have been right at the end of this candle here. So we would have entered long here because volume indicator is giving us yes, copy curve is telling us yes, and we would have exited. Where is Rex telling us to exit from? We would have exited right about there. So that would have been about 60 pips. Small win, but we'll count that as a win anyway. So right now on this pair, we have 1 loss and 1 win. So right now it's at a 50% win rate. Alright, let's take a look at this one here. If we follow the 1 candle rule, we can, it would have given us the entry right about here. And then 1 candle would have been there. So this would have been a trade, but it looks like we would have entered somewhere right around here. Because we look at the end of the candle, so if you know how to read candles, you can know that for this red candle, price closes right about there. 80 pips. So what if it's been here? 120 pips. And where's our exit indicator telling us to exit from? Right there. This one would have been a tiny win. Crossing baseline, about 40 pips. So another small win here. That we'll put up here. So 1 win, or 2 wins and 1 loss. And then we'll keep it going. So immediately after we exit that trade, it's telling us to go long right here, but because price is outside the ATR bands, we won't. It's telling us to go short right here, but copy curve is saying no. It's telling us to go long again. Right about where is this? So this would have been the first candle. Would have been just outside the bands. Would this have been a trade? Ooh, this would have been very close. This would have been very close. This probably wouldn't have been a trade though, since the ATR bands are just outside here. Just outside the ATR bands. Wow. That would have been a nice run. 250 pips. That's okay though. We follow the system. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not, but we follow the system and we work on it. Alright, so volume indicator kept us out of the chop, and we'll take a look at, see here what we got going on. Okay, so looks like we had a long here, but price is below baseline, so that wouldn't have been a long. Price is still below baseline. Right here, this would have given us a short position here. So right here we would have entered. So price is between baseline and ATR band. So this would have been, oh, copy curve. Copy curve is positive, so that would be, this wouldn't be a trade actually. 350 pips. Probably would have exited. We would have exited like right here anyway when price would have crossed above the baseline, so that would have been a small win of 30 pips, but that's okay. Follow the system. Alright. Nope, this would have been outside the ATR band, so we wouldn't have gone long here. Looks like there's a crossover that wanted to happen, but didn't. Again, here it looks like it wanted to happen, but didn't. This is where it's saying go short. So let's take a look. Price looks like it's just outside moving average. Again, price is just above the baseline, just above baseline. So this probably wouldn't have been a short trade here. Okay, it looks like volume indicator is doing its own thing, and look at how much chop there is right now going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different entries that would have been talking. Yeah. This is a short trade here, but it's not going to be because copy curve says no. This is a long trade here. This is where the signal is giving us. One candle rule. Copy curve is a little bit slow. This is still in the negative. Yeah, that would have been a really nice trade to get. That's okay. That is okay. Right here we have the price, again outside the ATR bands, so we would have gotten the entry right about here. So entries here, so we would have entered on this candle, but price is outside the ATR bands. One candle rule, we would have entered right at the top of this candle. We would have caught this front down. How many pips would this have been? Reps, we would have exited right about here. About 80 pips. About 80 pips. So that would have been another decent win. We're up to 1 loss, 3 wins. Not bad. Yeah, sometimes the system, this is a little bit of a slower system. I slow down the indicators a bit, so sometimes we don't catch those trends, but we also avoid a lot of that chop. So it's just a balance and see what you want to have with your system. Do you want to have a faster moving system and faster indicators, or do you want to have a slower moving system and slower indicators? This would have been a lot of choppy markets here. So this would have been a long entry. Yeah. This would have been a long entry, and we would have exited here because of our baseline as an exit. So this would have been a very, very small loss. 3 wins, 2 losses. And then it's telling us to go short here. So this is where we get the signal to go short. Damiani would have this is really close. I think the vortex or the volume indicator would have actually kept us out of this one. It's just, and then after that the 1 ATR candle or the 1 candle rule, the baseline is going to be keeping us out of this one because it's outside the ATR bands. So that wouldn't have been a trade there. This would have been a long signal, but volume is keeping us out. This is a short signal right there. This is outside the ATR bands right here. This is also outside the ATR bands. Plus copy curve isn't telling us to go ahead, so this wouldn't have been a trade. Alright, and oh yeah, it's already the end of the year, so where did we end off with? 2 losses, 3 wins. So what is that, 3/5, 60%. That's pretty standard, yeah, about 60% over 3 years. So yeah, we're gonna be stopping the video there. After that, backtesting. I hope you guys have a better idea on backtesting, how to backtest. If you're actually more interested in the No Nonsense Forex way of trading, you can look at VP's channel as well, No Nonsense Forex. He also does blogs, and they also have a Discord page, which I'm also a part of as well. But yeah, that is how I trade the No Nonsense Forex ways. Those are the indicators I use, and a couple of nuances that we went over as well today. So we placed a trade. We kept the trade from last week open. So tomorrow we're gonna look at the charts again and see how they go. All right. And let's take a look. All right, yeah, thank you everybody for joining the stream. And if you're watching this on YouTube, all right, see you later.